Hello, lovely podcast people. I thought the other day, actually, can't remember why, I was driving along and maybe saw someone just on their headphones, walking along, marching along. And I just kind of thought about the number of times people tag me on their story saying, you know, getting my steps in. And it was quite a heartwarming feeling of those of you out there right now listening to this are doing steps. I think I've mentioned this before, but it was just a bit more of a realization of how many hundreds, thousands, the episodes now are getting thousands and thousands and thousands of downloads every single episode. So it's cool. I'm just marching along. And it also makes me think, I get all this criticism, right? And this is interesting because today's podcast is a little bit about criticism, imposter syndrome type stuff. I get all of this. I say all of this, occasional criticism of oh, just get to the point. And they're obviously someone who's mined the podcast, as in mining, coal mining, mine the podcast for a specific topic. And they're let me get there. That's why we do time points, right? Go look at the flipping time point, pal, and you'll get your answer there. The first 4 minutes or more are often just me chatting. But for the rest of you, I imagine I just fill you with joy as you're walking along with my dulcet tones in your ear. And you just want something, because let's be honest, you don't enjoy walking, you don't enjoy hiking, you just do it to put it on Instagram. No, I'm joking. It's part joking, quarter joking, 10%. I just hate walking. I just don't know how you lot do it. What are my steps today? How do you do it? You tap the rings, you go down. 892. It's 2 p.m. By the way, it's 2 p.m. 892 steps. And yes, I have been wearing it since I got up. Yeah. Anyway, so hopefully I'll get to 1500 by the end of the day. And well done me. Anyway, imposter syndrome, criticism. This is a funny one because I guess to some extent, this topic, I feel like, and I have actually got one recorded from when I first started the podcast, and imposter syndrome is something I've spoken on for many, many years. I have no notes for this podcast, by the way, which is annoying because there's a quote that popped into my head that I needed to look at. I did this video years and years and years ago about imposter syndrome. And I've got this one recorded from before that I didn't publish because I really wanted to do a few more to make it all encompassing, as it were. Because it's a big, big topic. And I believe it's a big topic for good people, generally good people. I mean, some not so good people maybe suffer from it, but I think more they suffer from fear of being found out, that they are genuinely a con. They genuinely haven't put in the work. They are genuinely just taking money for a crappy service or a service that, is based on lies or whatever. But true imposter syndrome, when you are good enough, you do know what you're doing, you can help people, and you question yourself because you're just a good person. And really the people who don't get this are probably not questioning themselves enough. They're not learning enough. They're not putting themselves in situations where they realize that there is still personal self-development left to be done. So, when you truly want to help people, and I did this video years and years and years ago, essentially saying you will not be able to help everyone. And I don't know how helpful this podcast will be for those of you who aren't practitioners, but I imagine in all walks of life, there's imposter syndrome-esque stuff, and there's, self-belief is always a fantastic thing to have. So hopefully I can impart some words of wisdom. But I said you can't help everyone. Even if you were the world's best behavior change practitioner, even if you were, I've just had this horrible, I thought I hadn't turned on the, video. And the video is where I get the audio from, obviously, for most of you who listen on, about 100 people watch these podcasts. I don't know how you could watch me just talking. It's so boring. But maybe if you're on a stepper, it's getting cold in the UK now. Today really feels like the first day of winter. You would watch me. I'm not particularly animated when I talk. But anyway, where was I? You can't help everyone. Even if you're the best behavior change specialist you know all of the nutrition theory, you've got great communication skills, which includes listening, empathy, all this kind of stuff, you're still going to have clients, customers, patients that you can't help for whatever reason. And I do these short mentoring videos for people in the Mac Nutrition Mentoring Lab, which includes MNU students, and I talk about imposter syndrome quite often, and not quite often, occasionally, and talk about the fact that you will end up sometimes being criticized by ex-clients, or even what often happens is the client will go to another nutritionist or whatever, coach, trainer, whatever term you want to use, practitioner, and they'll say something, and that person, really it's a reflection of themselves, jealousy, a bit of negativity, aggression, trying to make themselves look good. It says more often, this kind of negativity, criticism, trolling says way more about the person that's saying it than it does about you. And they'll go somewhere else and they'll criticize. And I've talked about group coaching programs. I mean, going into too much detail here, but sometimes you offer a non-personalized program and it's like certain advice is given, or you use an intervention that is just a method, not a principle, because it's going to work for that person at that time. And this is the worst, actually, when other practitioners criticize you based on just literally seeing some notes or like a bullet point on the slide. Or what I'm currently going on about on Instagram at the minute is I posted the talk title of a talk that's happening at Mac Nutrition Live on the 27th of November, if you haven't got your ticket, which is going to be the most unbelievably helpful, brilliant conversation around intuitive eating and intentional weight loss. And if there's crossover, spoiler alert, there's not. But whether there needs to be two different camps as per the anti-diet, intuitive eating, haze people, all have created camps and a cult and loads of crazy aggression towards anyone who says anything in that realm. What I'm trying to do is bring the conversation forward on intuitive eating to people who only ever focus on weight loss and never take a step back and go, do you know what? Is this actually what the client needs? Is it actually going to lead to a positive outcome? Should we actually keep pushing the boat on this endeavor despite what we are seeing? Could this person benefit in other ways, etc., etc.? Anyway, so I'm actually doing something positive. I'm getting loads of criticism by these people who have insane bias, probably very hurt people, have been hurt by criticism themselves, have been hurt by the fact that they don't look a certain way. So, lots of these people are nutritionists and dietitians who have gone, I'm anti-diet, no one should have to diet, health at every size, blah, blah, blah. And I've got lots of negativity because of the nasty people on the other end of the spectrum who are going, look at you, you're so out of shape, what the hell do you know? Which is obviously also an inappropriate thing to say. Not just inappropriate and mean, it's wrong, because it does show this complete lack of understanding around genetic and environmental factors, and even medical factors. So anyway, this is way off topic, but you know me. So it's just a bit funny that I'm talking about imposter syndrome on this podcast, because I know a lot of listeners are not practitioners. But in anything you do, I think even sometimes when you look to change your life, you look to make big changes in your health, in your habits, in your hobbies, in how you spend your time, getting healthier, change the way you're eating, you get criticism. And it's tough and it wears people down. And it's one of these things that, this quote actually, it's like, to avoid criticism. I don't know who said it. It's annoying. I'll find it and put it in the notes. I think I actually mentioned this maybe in another podcast, but to avoid criticism, do nothing, say nothing, be nothing. And I'm going to probably get that put on some sort of mural in my new house, because it's so true. Because once you are, I was going to say game changer then, and I'm calling myself like a game changer, but I kind of am a game changer. I am. There you go. I'm going to say I am a game changer. I have entered the world of nutrition and the evidence-based world and have rocked the boat, and from a relative, no one, became someone fast. And from all realms of the world, people feel made inadequate and feel threatened by me, by Mac Nutrition Uni, by M&U certified nutritionist. I spoke about this before, and it leads to criticism. Again, if you are someone who starts caring about their health, starts going to the gym, starts eating better, starts losing weight, any of these things that can make other people feel inadequate, you then open yourself up to criticism. And there's lots of things that are important to remember in terms of why you're doing these things. Doing your very best when appropriate to just not care about the opinions of others. And, from a practitioner perspective, it's just this understanding that, one, you will never be able to help everyone, but trying to leave people better than when they came to you is the best thing. And being the bigger person, this toxic kind of idea that the customer's always right, it is toxic. That's why I said that on purpose. It's not the case. Customers can be horrific, bad people, and you do as you see fit, trying, I hope, to be moral in your choices and have integrity and this kind of stuff, which is what we always do. But when we've had to kick people off M&U or strip people of their M&U certified nutritionist title, because we had one person who we liked. They graduated from M&U certified nutritionist, and then we found them that they were stealing or had stolen and packaged up and were selling M&U content in their kind of mentoring coaching program. And we approached this person and, we were obviously shocked. Someone sent it to us from inside their group. Like, they're training coaches now. And we approached them and said, look, what's going on? Why have you done this? And rather than just kind of owning it, they went, oh, I didn't realize I wouldn't be able to do that. Yet the thing we had seen them post literally said, I'm probably not allowed to do this, but here's all of the blah, blah, blah. And because they just wouldn't own it, they wouldn't, they didn't act in a trustworthy way. We weren't assured of stuff being deleted, not being used. We then obviously had to, go towards the fact that it's a copyright issue. It's a trademark issue. It's a legal issue. And anyway, they didn't own that. Now, that person, it was horrible for us. We didn't want to attack them. We liked the person. But now they're an enemy of us. And, badmouth M&U and say, they shouldn't be using the term integrity. When it's like and this is what I want to get across to you, is you can act in the best possible way and still have enemies. There's that Winston Churchill, you've got enemies, good. It must mean you stood up for something in your life. Which, whatever. I'll just leave it there. That's a nice quote to consider. So with regards to imposter syndrome, I'm often encouraging coaches and have people reaching out to me. And, when they're reaching out to me, I have people with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers reaching out to me, blue ticks and media, TV personalities who follow me. And I think they reach out to me because I said this in one of my mentoring videos, because they think I'm indestructible, that they think I don't care about, that it just doesn't faze me at all. And of course, over time, things faze you. But I've learned over many, many, many years to be less fazed by it and take on board only really what's, it hurts more when it's someone, like that. In that scenario, it's someone we've helped, it's someone we've supported. Why have they chosen to do that to, some people, you don't know how people are wired. So they reach out to me and I know whether you've got one troll, I have mentees saying, I think I've made it. I've got my first troll, and they're kind of ha-haring it. But really, I know that they don't like it. It's not nice, someone from their local community saying whatever on their post or telling them to get educated, bro. I saw this YouTube video, after them having studied for a year of actual science. So it's tough. Imposter syndrome hits all of us, and being scared to put yourself out there. So for those of you coaches and nutritionists and whoever else, it's tough. And my advice is that you need to be be humble with it. One of the reasons that I don't have too much imposter syndrome is because I exercise my weaknesses, and I accept them, and I am transparent about them. So when you know you can be wrong and you don't know everything, the problem is when other people put expectations on you. I saw another cool quote, which was something about, you make up this picture of me in your head of what you think I'm like, and then are disappointed in me when I don't live up to it. And that one really hits home with me. That people are disappointed in a version of you that you never said you were. People go, "Oh, I thought you were better than this," and I'm like, "Better than what?" And they're like, "Well, then calling someone out on social media." I'm like, "No, that's literally who I am." I'm going to call out absolute rubbish that's disempowering other people. That's literally my motto, almost. But anyway, so owning your weaknesses, knowing that you won't know everything. So it does become an issue. Like I was saying, you speak at a conference and people just go, "Oh, you're Martin McDonald, you're so and so. I'm going to ask you this question," and you go, "Oh, I don't know." And as long as you're willing to do that, and you know that it doesn't make you any less of a practitioner. If you work hard, that's another one. This whole thing of I tried my best, therefore I'm good with the outcome. That's a little bit how I see these things, is I tried my best. I have worked frigging hard to be where I am and know what I know. And if I don't know it, then it's just you can't know everything. And also there's also just a bit of self-belief, which I love to try and instill in people, of if someone's, I've had it, someone just purposely asks a question to try and trip you up or fool you or make you look silly. There is a level of self-confidence that is, I guess, earned, of just being able to go, "I know why you're asking that." You're obviously trying to, show how clever you are, and that's great. And, kind of being able to put people in their place sometimes, which is a tricky one, because I understand that that's maybe partly a personality thing. But anyway, I won't go there. So, in terms of getting used to it, I did actually think of something in terms of, I think this is one of the things, is a realization of criticism is inevitable, is helpful. It doesn't matter what you do, who you are. If I have an Instagram social media post and people see it and they don't have any respect or understanding of what I've done, I am just a person, and that's fine, and that's what they think. But they don't realize that I have really invested in my knowledge in this area. I'm not just saying this like anyone can just put out an opinion on the internet. But nothing I say is going to help. Or people tag me in a post, "Martin, own this person, tell them that they're wrong." I'm like, what do you expect me to say? Can you provide me with a reference that proves them wrong? They're not going to read that reference. They don't have a level of respect that they go, well, but here's a YouTube video. Great. Well, they're not the same level of evidence. Well, because they're not trained to realize what is good evidence and what's what's empirical evidence and what some guy on YouTube chatting is, it's not going to help. So understanding that you're going to get into those situations and just knowing, I can just walk away. I'm happy in my knowledge. If there's not an opportunity to educate other people so that they can see the discussion, the debate, the whatever, I'm just going to walk away from it and know I don't look worse for it. You can go and listen to my episodes on self-confidence and self-esteem, etc. from around December, January time. I don't know why I thought about in terms of imposter syndrome and criticism. And I think it was just, I talked to the mentees about, I think I said this just a minute ago, did I? Group coaching, you give some generalized recommendations. Even if you do a social media post, I'll sometimes do social media posts and I'll see a troll or someone, or just, someone, what are they called? Hate follows, people who just dislike you but follow you just to dislike you, and then they'll do a post and make the most abnormal. Here's one. I did a post on, some of you may have seen it, unconditional permission to eat, and anything but not everything, blah blah blah, won't go into it. And then I saw this guy who hate follows me just do a post to just try and be like, he's an idiot, doesn't know what he's saying. But he didn't mention me, obviously, because he's a coward. But he literally went, if you say that, then you're saying people can eat other humans. And I don't see anyone promoting cannibalism. And it's like, you just to be a hate follower, just to try and get at me, you've made yourself look like an absolute clown. Like no one's going to go, he's got a good point. It's like, get a life, you loser. Create some of your own content. Anyway, that is probably one of the more bonkers. They call it, when it was Twitter, it was like subtweeting. So it's like someone almost doing you tweet, and then they do one that's just so obviously about you or about your message. That's one of the most insane subtweets or subposts I've ever encountered. Yes, unconditional to eat other people. So now my mind's gone somewhere else, which I'm sure some of you listening have the same mind as me, and we'll leave it there. So, imposter syndrome. Where was I? Group coaching, helping people, other people seeing it. And, I said that earlier about, a talk title or just some notes that you've done for a client where you've given a recommendation and that recommendation is going to help that client in their situation, but it's not a generalized, principle of nutritional science. And, again, just drawing on my own experience, it's like recently had someone with, quite a respected person share some of our M&U stuff, and a dietitian, quite a big time dietitian, contacted them and said, as if you're promoting them or associating with them. And they're like, why? What's wrong? Oh, don't you know Martin McDonald's a bit of a low carber, a little bit of a low carb zealot? And they were like, what? He literally calls that out. And this basically is a dietitian who 10 years ago, because she was telling all of my weightlifters to eat loaves of bread, and Paralympic powerlifters who just really didn't need to be eating loaves of bread. And, essentially it was at a time when I was posting lots of information, calling out the generalized government guidelines, which I don't really like, of everyone should base everything on carbohydrate, every meal, mainly starches, just this constant low-fat message, which obviously dietitians just push like hell. It's in their dietetics Bible. All very, very skewed on this way of low-fat, high carbohydrate. And she's held on to that for like 10 years and is contacting people still now. That's the level of criticism you still... and it leads to this imposter syndrome, this worry. I don't know if it is really imposter syndrome I'm talking about here. It's probably more criticism. Maybe I'll put the title as dealing with criticism, but then I've not really given too many practical strategies. But lots of it comes from self-belief. Lots of it is just in your heart of hearts. Do you know what's your purpose? What's your drive? What is your reason for doing X, Y, Z? Have you done your due diligence to really, can you be speaking on or working with people in this area? And if you are, then it is that thing of care less about what other people think of you. Care more about what your purpose is. And understanding your purpose is really, really helpful with dealing with criticism. Expect as little as possible. I've made this mistake many times. Don't expect anything of others because they'll just let you down. Just be a good person. Yeah, okay, I'm going to leave it there. I probably should have made some notes on that one. I hope there's something interesting in there for you. I'll get a good. I'm actually going to record a podcast now, and I might even release that other one first. I don't know. Maybe I'll release both of these in a week. On de novo lipogenesis, the creation of new fat from something that wasn't fat, i.e. carbohydrate. And it's going to be a good one. But I just thought I'd bosh this one out first. Anyway, very quickly, at Matt Nutrition Live, 27th of November, open to anyone and everyone. Be there. I don't know how many times I'm going to mention this. You know what? In one podcast, or look in the show notes. If you're interested in going, I'm going to put a big discount code for all of my podcast listeners that only podcast listeners can find. Will hear me say. Feel free to share it around. But I appreciate you as listeners. And but it's going to be class. Like I've already said, intuitive eating is such a massive topic. And then, intentional weight loss being a term that's being thrown around now. Binge eating, that's going to be class. We've got a psychotherapist coming to talk on that will be useful for everyone, practitioners and general population alike. Body image, which is a huge one, just like, again, for everyone. Really just getting an understanding and a handle on things. I've talked when I talk about happiness, and I did a post recently about, do you really want weight loss, or do you want the happiness that you think weight loss will bring? And, ways of dealing with poor body image, which just so many people could benefit from, like evidence-based ways. Ways that work, not just some namby-pamby. Not like this podcast, to be quite frank. Like, this was not an evidence-based podcast on dealing with criticism. I've not cited any literature. I've just spoken, and hopefully, there's some inspiration or encouragement that can be provided there. But these are like evidence-based strategies around body image. Anyway, 27th of November, open to everyone. Hope to see you there. You can even just, I don't know if you can do this. Probably. I probably wouldn't turn you away. But there's like after party ticket, 15 quid. Just come to the after party. It'll be amazing. We can chat nutrition over a few shots. There's also the dinner, obviously. The dinner and after party. We get this 3-course dinner, just a bit more time for selfies. Brilliant. Come along. But then you can obviously get the day ticket as well for the education. I'll leave that there. Much love.